Peace family, this is Ayapo Yapa, and this is the Drapetomaniac podcast, and I am the HDIC, that is the head Drapetomaniac in charge, and we are here to have conversations on how to get off this plantation. I'm doing a special Drapetomaniac podcast today because I missed doing one last week. There will still be another Drapetomaniac podcast at 9 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time. But I just want to do this one because this is something that's been on.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that you listeners are listening to the Drapetomaniac podcast on doayamedia.com. You are, right?
My mind, and I've had many discussions about it, and I just want to present it to the other Drapetomaniacs out there. I want to start off by talking about The Matrix. When the original movie, The Matrix, came out, there were endless discussions about it. There were lectures about it at on college campuses. There were sermons preached about it across the pulpit because it was so significant. The fact that you had a simulated world in which people thought that they were living real life, but there was actually another life outside of that, a real world. And there were those who escaped from that matrix to fight the matrix. Anyway, I'm not going to rehash all that. I think everything or just about everything that can have been said about that movie, about the premise of it, and how it applies to our actual lives has been said. But I do want to talk about something that I saw, I think a couple weeks ago, and it was another YouTuber, and they basically were contending that Morpheus, Neo, and the rest of the group never actually escaped the Matrix. And they explain why. As I started examining that, I said, you know what? That's true. It makes absolute sense. See, Morpheus and Neo and the rest never actually escaped. The original Matrix was too perfect. Now, this was spoken about in the movie. I think this was Agent Smith. To those who have seen the movie, to those who haven't, I apologize. You're not going to understand what I'm talking about. For those who saw the first movie and to those who saw the trilogy, you'll understand what I'm saying. But Agent Smith was talking to Morpheus, and he said the original Matrix was too perfect. In the minds of the humans that they were using for batteries and that they were harvesting, the minds rejected it because it was just a paradise. And so the new Matrix was created, and it had real world problems, and it had struggles and so on. And so the minds were accepting it. Now, in the third Matrix, I believe it was the third one, when we got deeper into the story, there was a character who represented the Matrix and was explaining that the whole of humanity was accepting this simulation because it had the problems and so on, but they knew that there would always still be 1% that just didn't accept it. Okay. Now, this part wasn't said in the movie, but this is what was suggested by this YouTuber. He said, don't you think that if the computers knew that there would be 1% who wouldn't accept even the new Matrix, that they wouldn't already have created a contingency even for that 1%? So in other words, when Morpheus, when Neo, when Trinity, when all of them got out of the Matrix and then they started fighting the war in the real world, they actually were still inside the Matrix. They were still fighting from within the Matrix itself. It was just another subroutine. It was just another layer of the Matrix. So as they're fighting, They're not outside of, they're still not fighting it. Okay. And one of the giveaways, and I hadn't considered this, but one of the giveaways that they were still in the Matrix was when Neo got outside the Matrix. He basically brought Trinity back to life and so on. And he was outside the Matrix using his Matrix powers. Now, I don't care how much of the one you are, if you are just a flesh and blood human being. Because Neo was not a god. He is just another flesh and blood human being. So there's no way that he would be outside the Matrix and be able to use Matrix powers. This was one of the giveaways that they were actually still within the Matrix. And they served the Matrix even for them to be fighting in this way, because they're fighting a ghost. They're fighting a phantom. And they're not really fighting the system. The purpose of that sublayer was just to give them the illusion that they were fighting, that they were winning battles and losing battles, so that they never were able to find the actual way out. And they would just waste their time, their energy, and their efforts on fighting phantom after phantom, because they believed they were awake and out of the Matrix. While they were still firmly hooked into it, they never got out. Now, the point that I'm making is that this entire system of white supremacy has always and always will feed off of our people as long as we continue to work within it. Even fighting it is a form of energy we give to it. As we know, when a person wants attention, they don't care whether they're getting positive or negative attention, as long as they're getting attention, because it's that energy they want. And they don't care if it's positive or negative. They just need the energy. Protesting, marching, boycotting, voting at all legitimizes and gives power to the system. These entire movements that seek to force the hand of the government into giving our people reparations and fair treatment is all an illusion. We say, look at what happened to Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, and others who did not have a black agenda. Is because they're getting support, or it is because they weren't giving support to the black community. And in them not supporting us, we didn't support them. And since they didn't put forth a black agenda, each time a public official goes down for their lack of support, we claim it's because we are not supporting them. We take the credit for them not getting a nomination or whatever. And we're feeling like that's giving us some kind of power. Again, it's an illusion. Our people are entitled to reparations. I want to make this clear. Our people are entitled to reparations. 100%. Will we ever receive them? That remains to be seen. The argument made for reparations and fair treatments is unimpeachable. The data that the racial wealth gap and the hard numbers exist, the way that they exist, can't be argued. We and black people are flatlined. Okay, in this country, the numbers presented are facts. I don't argue any of these facts. I don't argue any. I don't argue any of the reasoning behind why we're in this fight, or why this fight is being engaged. Where I diverge is the solutions put forth, remedies from a government that even the leaders of the ADOS movement admit themselves were put in place by the white power structure. So they are in essence saying, the solution to our problem lies in somehow forcing those who created and benefit from this system to upend it, so that not only will we be treated fairly within it, but they'll lose their advantage. Why would they do that? Do they even hear themselves? Why would they do that? That's my question now. That has been my question, and it continues to be my question. Why would they do that? The bigger issue is the fact that a lot of the battles we fight in terms of reparation and inclusion come almost necessarily come with, almost necessarily as a component, integration, further integration, and full integration into this system. The main thing we should actually be struggling tooth and nail against. We should be working to separate from it, not submerge ourselves deeper into it. Our power lies in separating from this system, not integrating further into it. Even the small strides and concessions our people have gotten serve as a carrot, only as a carrot, to keep us serving within this corrupt system and striving within it. This is a system that is hostile to us and serves only to weaken our people in terms of independence and the power for self-determination. Let's say the population of black people is higher than the 13% that we're quoted. We've been quoted for years. Let's just say for sake of argument, it's 18%. If you take the time to examine what's happening around you, you'll see that this government is so bought and paid for by corporations and special interests that even the average white person can't get the government to do anything for them. Think about that and let it sink in for a while. Take a hard look around you at all the activism, criticism, and anger at the government by white people because the government doesn't give a damn about what they say, think, or want. Think about that. And we think that somehow we have the numbers and the power to get them to listen to us and to create an agenda for us when the representatives and elected officials won't even listen to the white people for and by whom this system was created. And I concede that the country was originally founded by wealthy landowners. So yeah, they're the ones who actually, the system was created for and by, but the entire structure is based on a system of white supremacy. So again, the average white people who benefit from the system won't even work for them anymore. And somehow we think that we can force their hand and force them to make it work for us. We are living in an illusion. The only answer as I see it is to leave it completely, cut our losses and leave it. You don't need to leave the country to leave the system. Separate mentally first, then separate physically by separating from the materialism of it. Yes, we need food, shelter, air, water, but we don't need all the toys we've been taught and continue to be taught that we need. Eat well and exercise, and that will cut down on the need to be connected through the medical and pharmaceutical industries. There may be things that happen, break a limb or hurt yourself or get sick, but I mean, it will cut way down on the need to be connected. Also, just simple things that we may not consider simple because we're always taught newer, bigger, better, best. And so we go out and buy this new phone, this new car. But what if you got just a basic phone for emergencies? Why do you need to be able to watch a movie any place you go? What if you just had a nice, A to B car? You don't need a Viper. I don't know, maybe you do, but I don't. I need a nice A to B car to get me from place to place. This paid off and makes it so that I and my family can sleep at night in peace. Not worrying about somebody coming to get my car. Not worried about, I have to go to this job tomorrow that I hate and they can treat me like crap and treat me like a slave because I have to make these payments. Yes, we have to live. We, as I said before, have to have a roof over our head, food to eat, water to drink, and so on. But there are things that we can control. And there are ways that we can separate both mentally and physically from this system. I don't vote. I used to. I voted since I was 18. I haven't voted in several years. Even though I did vote up into my 50s, but I stopped because I realized that all I was doing was legitimizing this system, and I will no longer legitimize it. We are free moral beings. The choice is yours. But I just wanted to give you some food for thought. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is the head Drapetomaniac in charge. This is the Drapetomaniac podcast. We'll be broadcasting again at 9 o'clock this evening, Eastern Standard Time. And for right now and for always, I will see you on the run.
And thank you again for listening to the Drapetomaniac podcast. Tune in next week at doiamedia.com. DOEIAMEDIA.com. And again, we'll catch you on the run. Peace.